Alright, this tutorial will show you how to back up your PS2 games. My PS2 games are out in storage, so I don't have an actual one here, but I will walk you through the process. It's pretty much similar to how you would do a PS3 game. You would go into Multiman. But there are some differences in copying and in starting up the game. Okay, you again come back to the game column, okay, and you'll go ahead and insert the PS2 game in there. You should see it here where this where the little disc icon is that shows the various disc formats. It will turn into the PlayStation 2 game that you inserted. Now, sometimes it will say the PlayStation 2 game name, and it usually does, but sometimes it just has a bunch of numbers, and it'll say, it won't say the name of the game. It'll just show a bunch of numbers, or it just may say PlayStation 2. Okay, so either way, regardless, if it shows the name of the game, great. If it doesn't, I'm going to show you later on how to change the name of the game. Okay, so once it's in here, all right, you're going to go ahead and hit triangle. Now, at this point, if you have the game inserted, the Create ISO option will be highlighted, and it'll be selectable. Right now, it's not selectable because I don't have a PS2 disc in there. But that's what you want to do. You don't want to hit copy. You want to hit Create ISO. It'll then ask you to confirm it, and you'll hit yes. The system knows exactly where to put the ISO, so the folder, it'll go into the correct folder and everything, all right? And it will start. Now, normally, depending on how much data is on the PS2, the game can take usually from 5 to 15 minutes to back up. Now, once you back up the PS2 game, all right, you can go ahead and eject it. And then you're going to move over. Once the game has been ejected, you're going to go ahead and move over to the retro column. Now, the game you just backed up, you will see that name, whatever name it showed, you'll see it again here. Okay. Now, what you want to do here is highlight that game, hit triangle, and you're going to press. Oh, I'm sorry. You don't need to hit triangle. You're just going to hit the X button. So you're going to highlight that ISO, the backup, you just did, and hit X. When you hit X, it's going to ask you, do you want to convert this into PS2 Classic format or something to that effect? And you're going to hit yes. The PS2 games need to be converted into PS2 Classic Manager format, and you don't have to worry about how to do that or anything because the system does it all for you. As long as you hit yes. That process only takes a few minutes, and it will convert it. When it's finished, you will see it twice on here. You'll see the ISO you just created, and you will see that same name again, but to the right of it, it'll say PS2 Classic in brackets. At this point, if you want to delete the ISO, you would highlight it, hit triangle, and hit delete. Okay, and you can, but I would suggest you hold on to it and let's make sure the game works before you delete it. There's really no need to keep the ISO, okay, once we've confirmed that the game, the PS2 Classic game is working. So go ahead and pick the game you just created an ISO for, but just make sure that you pick the one that ends with PS2 Classics in parentheses. Now this will take you back into the XMB screen. Now, once you're back at the XMB screen, there's a couple things we have to do, but again, nothing really complicated. You're going to go into the where all your homebrew stuff is, and you're going to pick PS2 Classics Manager. Now, your Classics Manager is exactly what it sounds like. It's a little manager that manages all your backed up PS2 games. But they have to be in a special format. That's why we have to convert them to the PS2 Classics format. Okay. Now here, you are going to go into PS2 game lists. Don't worry about the memory cards, because the memory card deal has already been taken care of. Normally here you would have to create a couple of PS2 virtual memory cards, but that's already been done. And they actually show up in the game column in the near the top. So again, once you're here, pick PS2 game lists, and all the PS2 games you have backed up should appear here. Now the one you just did, okay, provided you're doing this for the first time, probably is going to be the only one that's going to show up. But in the future, when you have multiple ones here, you can only have one game active at a time, because you can only play one game at a time. Okay, so you'll see them all here, but the one that's active will always be green. Okay, so what you want to do is select the game you want to play. Now, if the game you just backed up is the only one that's here, it's automatically going to be highlighted, and you're going to hit X to make it active. Okay, if you have multiple games on here and you have one that's green, you're going to highlight the one that's green, okay, and then you are going to hit square, and it will inactivate that game, and it'll say, do you want to make this game not active? And you'll hit yes, and that's it. Now none of them are green. And then the one you want to play, you just highlight it, and then you hit X, and it will make the game active. Now, I'm assuming this is the first game you have, so go ahead and just hit X to make it active. Okay? Well, when you do this, it will take you back into the XMB screen after hitting X. Now, once you hit X and you go back to the XMB screen, go again into your homebrew icon, but this time you're going to select the PS2 Classics placeholder. Whatever game you hit X for and you made active, it will be here. This is a placeholder. This is what launches the game and everything. So these two programs complement each other. The manager manages your programs, the games, and it makes one of them active, and this one will hold that active game in place, and it'll allow you to play it. So go ahead and highlight it and pick X. There's no choices here. You won't see the name of the game here or anything. You just need to pick PS2 Classics placeholder and hit X. And if none of your games were green in the PS2 Classics Manager, then a game will not start here. It'll just kick you back to the XMB screen. But since we made a game green, we made it active, whichever game you chose, that's what's going to play. And there you go. It's starting. Just be patient because it takes a little bit. Now, on here, you will have to, once the game starts, you'll need to press the button on your controller to turn on the controller again, because when it transfers over to playing the PS2 game, it will turn off your controller, so just turn it on again. And pretty much the way the controls work on the PS2 is the way they are on the PS3. Start button, select, and everything else. Okay, and you would save within the game like normal, you know, at the save points and all that good stuff. Okay, whenever you want to get out of the game, go ahead and just hit the PS button and just quit the game. Also, like in this game, there are this game is a compilation disc, for example. So when you want to switch games, you would just hit the start button and it will say, do you want to exit to main menu, or do you want to switch games or whatever, and you just hit yes. And that's pretty much it. PS2 games are a little bit easier because you don't have to worry about updating them or having a disc in there or pressing buttons, you know, radio buttons, nothing like that. They just play. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching the video, and we'll see you on the next one.